Don't freak out.
I don't freak out. I never freak out.
There was a time when Black Mirror could stop you in your tracks. After every episode, you'd just sit there, staring at the screen, then at your phone, then at yourself. It made you question the future. It made you uncomfortable. But somewhere along the way, that fear faded. The mirror stopped reflecting us. It started reflecting something else. Something softer, safer, and far less scary. That was until season 7 arrived and changed everything. Black Mirror used to feel like a warning. Each episode felt like a glimpse into tomorrow, and not in a good way. When it first started in 2011, it was raw, bold, and honest. It didn't care about being liked. It cared about being real. People praised it for showing how technology could twist us, trap us, or tear us apart. The show was cold, clever, and deeply human. And for the first few seasons, it held nothing back. But then things started to shift. Season 5 was the first big sign of trouble. There were only 3 episodes, and none of them hit as hard as earlier ones like White Bear or Shut Up and Dance. It felt like the show had lost its teeth. Even though it had big names like Miley Cyrus, the stories didn't cut deep. The tone was softer, the pacing was slower, and the ideas didn't land with the same force. Fans began asking, is this still the same show? One of the biggest problems was how the series became a bit too polished. The raw, indie-style storytelling that made it feel dangerous was now cleaner, shinier, and less risky. It was like the show got caught in the very trap it warned us about. It became another glossy Netflix product. Some even said that Black Mirror had become too scared of its own reflection. Then came season 6. And while it did offer more episodes and a few fresh ideas, something still felt off. A lot of fans were confused by the direction. There were episodes that didn't even feel like Black Mirror at all. More like horror stories or alternate realities that didn't always involve tech. While the show had every right to grow and experiment, many felt it had lost what made it unique. Its focus on how technology changes human behavior. People missed that sharp edge, that cold chill you got when you realized, this could happen. Maybe it already is. There's also the issue of predictability. Earlier seasons shocked you. You never knew where the story was heading. But later episodes started feeling more familiar. You could guess the twist, or worse, there wasn't one. And if a Black Mirror episode doesn't leave you thinking, questioning, or feeling a little disturbed, did it really work? Let's not forget that the world changed too. In between season 5 and 6, we lived through real-life nightmares, AOIC, global pandemic, rising AI fears, online disinformation, mass surveillance, deepfakes. It felt like we were already living in a Black Mirror episode. So maybe the show lost its edge because real life was catching up. What could Black Mirror say? That reality wasn't already screaming? That's why so many fans started to give up. Memes popped up online. Black Mirror? I'm already living in it. Some said the show should just end, while others hoped it would find a way back to its roots. And then, season 7 dropped. But before we talk about how it saved the show, we have to understand this. Black Mirror didn't fail because it tried new things. It struggled because it forgot what made it special. It stopped being a mirror and became a screen. Something to watch, not something to see yourself in. Season 7 had a huge task ahead. It had to prove that Black Mirror still mattered, that it could still surprise us, scare us, and most importantly, reflect us. And somehow, it did exactly that. Black Mirror Season 7 didn't just stumble back onto the right track. It charged into it. From the first episode, you could feel it. Something had changed. The tone was darker. The writing was sharper. The show didn't just want your attention. It wanted your discomfort. And that's exactly what Black Mirror was always supposed to do. So what did Season 7 do differently? It returned to its roots, the most obvious change. Season 7 brought back the core theme that once made Black Mirror so powerful, the complex relationship between humans and technology. Instead of drifting into supernatural horror or stories that felt too far removed from real life, these new episodes felt uncomfortably close. One standout example is an episode centered around artificial memory editing, a clear nod to the current rise of neural tech and AI-generated experiences. The story wasn't just about tech, it was about regret, control, and the parts of ourselves we try to erase. This is the Black Mirror we remember. Tech as a tool, but people as the eye. Real problem. Another episode re-examined digital surveillance, not just in the usual sense of cameras and data, but in the form of emotional tracking. Imagine a world where your feelings could be measured, analyzed, and used against you. That's not science fiction anymore. That's modern advertising, workplace monitoring, even social media. This episode didn't just reflect the future, it mirrored the present, and that's where the tension hits hardest. It got leaner and sharper. Unlike the clunky structure of Season 5, or the sometimes distracted tone of Season 6, Season 7 felt tight. Each episode had a purpose. There were no wasted moments. The stories moved with intent, and the pacing felt more like earlier seasons, especially Seasons 2 and 3, when the show found its balance between emotion and dread. More importantly, the endings were brutal again. Not just for shock value, but because they meant something. Whether it was a character trapped by their own choices, or a world quietly falling apart around them, each finale left a mark. It reminded us of the old Black Mirror trick. It doesn't end when the credits roll. It ends when you can't stop thinking about it later that night. The show also stopped trying to be trendy. No more celebrity cameos that distracted from the plot. No more over-stylized episodes that looked good but didn't say much. Season 7 stripped things back. It focused on storytelling first, and it worked. It took risks, but smart ones. That's not to say Season 7 played it safe, far from it. But the risks it took this time felt earned. One episode, for example, played with the idea of a digital afterlife, not a new concept for the show, but this time it did something unexpected. It asked, what happens when the afterlife itself becomes commercialized? Not only was the premise fresh, but the tone was balanced. It had moments of warmth, terror, even dark humor. It made you think, but it also made you feel. Another episode broke structure completely, telling the story in reverse, each scene taking us further into a character's past to reveal the damage done by one tiny piece of tech. It was risky. It could have fallen apart, but it didn't. It was tight, clear, and emotionally devastating. This kind of storytelling is what Black Mirror was built for. Not gimmicks, but perspective. It looked inward, not just outward. One of the smartest things Season 7 did was shift the spotlight back to people. Earlier seasons sometimes leaned too hard on the tech itself, making it the villain. But in Season 7, tech was just the tool. The real threat? Human fear, selfishness, addiction, control. Every episode asked, what would you do? Would you delete a memory? Would you let a machine judge your emotions? Would you trade real pain for artificial peace? These questions made the show more personal, and that made the horror cut deeper. By grounding the technology in very human flaws, Season 7 made the stories more relatable. It didn't need to shock you with some huge reveal. It just needed to show you a mirror, one where the scariest part wasn't the future. It was your own reflection. If there's one person who defines Black Mirror, it's Charlie Brooker. He's not just the creator, he's the brain, the voice, and the soul of the series. For years, he gave us stories that were both terrifying and deeply human. But somewhere between Seasons 5 and 6, that voice started to sound distant. The edge was duller. The spark felt dim. And many wondered if even Brooker himself had run out of dark ideas. But in season 7, that spark came back, reclaiming his voice. Charlie Brooker has always been known for his brutal honesty. Before Black Mirror, he was a journalist and satirist who wrote about the madness of media, politics, and culture. What made his storytelling stand out was that he never held back, and in season 7, that honesty returned. You can feel his voice again. That sharp, sarcastic, often bitter commentary hiding just beneath the surface. He doesn't just write about technology. He writes about the absurd way we treat it. Fear it, worship it. That tone was missing in recent seasons, but now it's back, and it's better than ever. One episode in particular, possibly written entirely by Brooker himself, is packed with his classic style. Awkward humor, mixed with pure dread. It pokes fun at how we try to optimize every part of our lives with tech. Even things like grief, guilt, or love. The characters are complex, their choices messy, their outcomes painful. It's the kind of writing only Brooker can do. Not just smart, but human. Creative freedom restored in interviews. After season 6, Brooker admitted something that stood out. He didn't know how to write Black Mirror during certain times. The world had become so dark, so surreal, that he felt paralyzed. How do you exaggerate reality when reality already feels like a dystopian joke? But by the time season 7 was in development, something shifted. Maybe it was distance. Maybe it was clarity. Or maybe it was just anger at where tech has taken us, at where we've taken ourselves. Whatever it was, it pushed Brooker to write like he used to, without fear. And you can see that freedom in the structure of the episodes. There's more calm. There's more confidence in the pacing, more boldness in the topics. Brooker isn't trying to chase trends anymore. He's trying to say something. And when a writer like him has something to say, Black Mirror becomes dangerous again. Reconnecting with the audience. In some ways, Brooker may have realized something simple. Black Mirror is most powerful when it makes us feel seen. Not just frightened, not just impressed, but recognized. The show had drifted into trying to shock us with big tech twists. But season 7 brings the focus back to the everyday fears we all carry. Loneliness, regret, loss of control, the need to be loved, the fear of being watched. Brooker's best episodes were always the ones where the technology faded into the background and the characters came forward. Be Right Back. The Entire History of You. White Christmas. Season 7 feels like a return to that idea. Tech as the spark, but people as the fire. You can tell Brooker spent time thinking not just about what to show us, but why it matters. And this deeper emotional focus didn't come at the cost of creativity. In fact, it sharpened it. One of the new episodes features a near-future society, where your choices are constantly evaluated by an invisible algorithm. Sounds familiar? Sure. But Brooker doesn't just explore the tech. He shows us what it feels like to live under constant invisible judgment. He shows us the emotional decay that comes with it. That kind of writing doesn't come from guesswork. It comes from someone who knows what he's doing. Someone who finally remembered what made his own show so powerful in the first place. Bringing back the showrunner's control, there's something else you can't ignore. Season 7 feels more cohesive. Even with multiple directors and creative voices involved, there's a unifying tone, a rhythm. That usually means one thing: strong showrunner control. It seems like Charlie Brooker took the wheel again, fully. In past seasons, the show may have tried too hard to grow fast, to bring in new voices, or to meet Netflix's content goals. But this time, it feels like the story came first. Brooker let the world of Black Mirror breathe again. Not as a brand, but as a message. The difference is clear. Every episode this season feels like it was written by someone who cares. Someone who's angry, curious, and still a little afraid. That's Brooker. That's the soul of Black Mirror. When Black Mirror Season 7 dropped, something interesting happened. It wasn't just fans tuning in out of habit. This time they stayed. They talked. They shared. And for the first time in years, they praised. Across forums, social media, and review platforms, the reaction was clear. Black Mirror is back, and Manat. Fan response was loud and clear on. Reddit longtime fans who had once given up on the show came back with excitement. Threads were filled with comments like, "This feels like the old Black Mirror again," or "Every episode made me feel something." I missed that. The difference wasn't just in what the episodes were about. It was how they made people feel. They made people uncomfortable, reflective, even shaken. Twitter, or X depending on what you call it now, lit up with reactions after each episode. Not in the usual meme-heavy way, but with genuine thoughts and analysis. People weren't just laughing or mocking the show anymore. They were digging in, talking about themes, ideas, moments that stuck with them. Some even admitted they rewatched certain episodes just to sit with the feeling again. That's the thing. Black Mirror was always about the aftertaste. Season 7 brought that bitter flavor back, and fans noticed. Critics also took notice media. Outlets that had grown cold on the series started paying attention again. Reviews praised Season 7 for its renewed focus, mature storytelling, and the fact that it finally felt like the show had something to say again. Several critics highlighted the balance between new ideas and classic Black Mirror structure. They pointed out that the show no longer felt like it was chasing relevance. It was relevant. And not just because it predicted something scary, but because it connected deeply to the human cost of living in a high-tech world. Some reviewers even said this was the best the show had been since Season 3. That's no small compliment. Season 3 is widely considered the show's creative peak. For Season 7 to even be compared to it means the comeback was real and respected. A new generation found the mirror. Something else happened too. Younger viewers who never saw the original Channel 4 episodes or even skipped the Netflix seasons started discovering the show. TikTok edits, episode breakdowns, and emotional reaction videos began spreading. Suddenly, Black Mirror wasn't just a nostalgia series for older fans. It was fresh again. It had urgency. This new wave of interest brought life into the fandom. New discussions, new theories, new favorite episodes, and most importantly, new eyes. It's rare for a show in its 7th season to feel like it's just getting started. But that's exactly what happened. Why it worked. And why it matters. So how did Season 7 save Black Mirror? Not with flash. Not with famous faces. Not with empty plot twists. It saved itself by going back to the basics. Strong ideas, simple but powerful execution, and stories that reflect our deepest fears and questions about technology and ourselves. It remembered that the real horror isn't the device in our hands, it's how we use it, what we give up for convenience, what we trade for safety, what we forget in the name of progress. Season 7 didn't reboot Black Mirror, it rebuilt it. It's tighter, it's bolder, it's more thoughtful. It's less about trying to shock the audience, and more about making them look inward. And the best part? It didn't rely on nostalgia to get there. It evolved. Carefully, intelligently, and most importantly, authentically. If Season 5 cracked the mirror and Season 6 left it in pieces, then Season 7 did something incredible. It picked up the shards. It didn't glue them back the same way. It rearranged them. Sharper, smarter, scarier. What we have now is a version of Black Mirror that reflects us better than ever before. It's not perfect. It shouldn't be. The mirror is jagged. The image is uncomfortable. But it's honest, and that's what Black Mirror was always meant to be.